what has induced all of the clerks to forget themselves and to embrace these passions? Is it an intellectual failing? Is it a moral failing? Is it a spiritual failing, or a spiritual victory on behalf of the Germans?
Basically, the intellectuals have become too earthly. They used to be kind of removed from society, and they've become too much a kind of regular citizen. And so, although the regular citizen may be influenced by nationalism, the clerks should be able to stand apart from it and hold to universalist conceptions.
Is this a material change? So they are.
Yeah.
So it's basically because intellectuals have had to live with the rest of us that they've fallen from their perches.
I don't know if I live with the rest of us, but he comments, and it's interesting because this is like a complaint that's made even today, but that the traditional kind of bohemian intellectual is over, and they adopt the kind of bourgeoisie's perspectives or try to service the bourgeoisie, and the bourgeoisie have their issues.
So basically, the Russell Jacobi line in the late 19th century, early 20th.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
So, it's interesting. So I wonder, thinking about that, right? I think the the intelligentsia get a lease on life as a result of the Nazi occupation of Europe, and particularly in France. Camus and Sartre, but there's also others. Marc Bloch, the famous kind of historian who was in the resistance and shot by the Nazis. So I think kind of the Nazi occupation and the role that the kind of noted French intellectuals played in that, and then subsequently the role they played in opposition to the war in Algeria, that probably reframed some of those debates that Benda initiated, and then you get kind of a new cycle by the end of the Cold War, because the denunciation of intellectuals during the Cold War wasn't so much the fact they were politically committed, but the fact they were committed to the wrong cause. Often they were left-wing, and their commitments to Moscow or whatever it was suspect. And it was difficult because at the same time, if they'd been in Europe in the Second World War, then they probably would have been involved in opposing the Nazis. And so this was a thorn in the side of the kind of liberal crusade against communism in the era.
Hello, welcome to BungaCast, and specifically to the BungaCast Reading Club.
I don't think anybody can deny that we have the best intro music in all of podcasting world.
I think so. It actually sets out an ambition of ours to visit all these places intellectually, politically, that are discussed in the song. So we're still working through through that list, but that's not what we're doing here, because this is the BungaCast Reading Club, a place where we explore the big crucial themes of the day, of indeed the year, and we do that through some key readings
of the centuries and of the millennia, Alex.
Well,
let's not be under ambitious here.
Of the modern age, let's say. But if we do anything from of the classics, then we'll have to amend that description. But anyway, all of this prompts an important question, which we're going to jump straight into before I do any further introduction. Are you an intellectual?
You guys definitely aren't. I don't think I am really either. So I guess no, we're not. I guess we should shut up shop, and we're podcasters, not intellectuals, right?
Why aren't podcasters intellectuals? If we circulate ideas, is that not a form of intellectual labor?
Yeah, okay, but there's lots of intellectual labor which doesn't qualify you to be an intellectual unless you want to get into, the Quasimodo thing about organic intellectuals and whatnot. I think.
What is Quasimodo?
Quasimodo, he's the famous hunchback of Sardinia.
I obviously know what you're talking about, but many listeners don't, and these oblique references aren't great.
The listeners know who Quasimodo is. I'm sure they know who Quasimodo is.
Anyway, we might discover that as we go on.
Quasimodo and organic intellectuals. I think most of our listeners will know who that is. That aside, in answer to George's question, it's a good question. I think, I've said this kind of on social media, and I stand by it. I think precisely, perhaps, in kind of in inverse proportion to the regimentation and control of mainstream kind of media sources, I think it's fair to say that there's something like a golden age of alternative sources, and podcasts have been part of that. They come in for a kicking from a lot of people. But I think, and particularly when you do what we do, which is you try to kind of engage with your listenership through various avenues, offering kind of opportunity for feedback and so on, I think, and also the long form nature of the medium means I think that there is kind of a genuine possibility for more open-ended exchange of ideas in a way that is difficult in alternative forms, and also the kind of the barriers to entry, as everybody knows, are very low in podcasting. So there is a kind of opening up of public debate and intellectual exchange, I think, as a result of podcasting. So perhaps, podcasting does come in for, it does qualify for something like a new kind of intelligentsia. I'm not sure you can count yourself as an intellectual if you're a professional academic, which I am. So I'll leave that to other people.
Yeah,
I don't think you're stealing intellectual valor from people like me and Alex. If you've
valor,
if you've published,
I prefer it if you accuse me of stealing your ideas than stealing your valor. Jesus Christ!
People thank you for your service when in fact they should be thanking me and Alex, who are not professional.
No one has thanked me for my service, just for the record. So.
Yeah. Anyway, I did have if you've published things for Platypus Review or Damage Magazine or anything like you are at least trying to be an intellectual, I think, and that covers all of us.
I think if you're publishing you have published things, you're speaking or writing about politics in the public sphere from some position of some even very crappy small intellectual authority that already
it's like Thomas Friedman.
He is a public intellectual. He's just really terrible, and that does prompt another question. What are the problems with intellectuals today? Because as Phil has already alluded to, you have academics, you have a quite large stratum of academics in society with the expansion of higher education, and various problems with the limitations and the way that the expansion of higher education has stopped, and all the problems with the academic job market, et cetera, that a lot of these people maybe are intellectuals or think they would be intellectuals and aren't. They're just people who are scholars. Is a scholar an intellectual? It's unclear.
A lot of them not scholars.
Hi there, friends. This is the end of a sample from an episode available only to subscribers at patreon.com/bungacast. For $7 a month, subscribers get at least 4 original exclusive episodes a month, featuring Alex, George, and Phil, as well as our regular contributors, Alex Gurovich, Amberly Frost, Catherine New, and Lee Phillips. We've got episodes on current affairs, extended interviews, exclusive episodes on theory, history, culture, docuseries, analyses of film, and our responses to listeners' questions and criticisms. And for $12 a month, you also get access to the very special BungaCast Reading Club, where we present the key books and essays necessary for understanding the world today, how we got here, and where we might be going. Of course, if you just want to try us out, there's also a $3 entry tier giving you 1 exclusive episode a month. We do hope you'll join us. These are turbulent times, and ideologically confused ones as well. We try to find some political clarity so that we might move beyond the age of bunga bunga.